all the happenings in Bawku. We're going to be getting into the conversation proper. Also in the studios, Dr. George Hamilton, JP, leading member, Movement for Change. Doc, hello, good morning. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning. Grace is at work here.
I receive it. We all receive it. Grace is at work.
Yes.
It's good to see you.
Same
We're hoping that the grace extends to Bawku.
Sure.
The situation is not looking too great at the moment, at all. Government says it's moving from peacekeeping to peace enforcement. That shows that things have escalated to the point where real enforcement is necessary. A curfew has been imposed 2 p.m. up until 6 a.m. What really then is happening in Bawku? What kind of activity can really take place in Bawku? 2 p.m. till 6 a.m.
Let me use this opportunity to say good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers, those watching on Facebook and all the social media handle, and also to the Chief Alan John Kojo Tremantin. I quite remember growing up in Cape Coast, Ola to be precise, Ola Estate.
I see.
One day, we were told that there is curfew. It was just announced. I was returning from my maternal home to my paternal house. It's just about 5 minutes walk. And we were told that curfew has been placed on I think it was all of Ghana, so we had to run. It was around 5:30 p.m. How I managed to get to my grandmom's room is only God who can tell. So, freedom is very important. It's good. It's something you need to enjoy your freedom. Everybody wants to be at peace, right? But when it gets to a point that your freedom is being taken away from you, it is something that I won't say is a pleasant thing. It is not. So the Bawku people, they are facing it. They are really facing it. And you see, at the time you are supposed to work from 2 p.m., you have to be indoors. When you go to prisons, then you will understand what freedom is all about. And Moses, let me not even take you to prisons. Go to the cells.
Right. You
will know what freedom is about. And so, to me, for me, when I heard that the Narugo Palace, the paramount chief, has issued an order, they will not comply with the curfew restrictions. I was like, does this king really understand the enormity of what is happening in his background? Because as a king or a paramount chief, you are more than an opinion leader. You are the overlord of the place of that enclave. So you have to make sure the safety of the people becomes a paramount thing to you. You have to protect lives. And what was the crime of these 2 students that were shot and killed?
In fact, we're told 3. Mauna, am I right? We have 1 in Bawku SHS and 2 in Nalerigu SHS.
Yes, so 3.
Three. That's right.
Actually.
What was their crime? Are they related to those who are fermenting trouble in Bawku? Are they? Are we trying to say it is like the Chinese War? You know the Chinese War.
Educate us.
Have you watched Chinese films before?
Apart from Jenny, is it Jenny to the West?
When Shefo.
Yes.
Every Sunday morning, you skipped church services for that.
Oh, only if there was a slight malaria in the bloodstream. Then
I can tell from your face, from your smiles, that you used to skip Sunday school.
Mauna is with me on this one. That's my partner in crime. We used to skip and then watch Journey to the West.
Okay. Now, you've watched Jet Li and Bruce Lee's films. You see how they fight?
Yes.
It's transgenerational
conflict.
Yes. So you see, the Bawku issue has been there since 1931. That's about 94 years down the lane. So to me, for the chief to have said that they will not comply, it was a non-starter. The Constitution gives the Interior Minister that prerogative right that if he senses or it gets to his attention that a city or a region or a town in our country, there is going to be a mayhem or some kind of tensions, he has the right to impose curfew on that at that particular place so that everything ceases. But my problem is that when curfew is being imposed, it affects everything in that community. For instance, health workers will have to stay at home. They won't be at work. And so the patients at the hospital, who cares for them? That grandmother that is on dialysis, who cares for them? That person at the theater being operated upon, who cares for that fellow? You get it? Market women will have to stay at home. We'll get to a place of being hungry. So how will we go to the market to go and buy foodstuffs for ourselves? Businesses comes to a halt. No movement. Now you are given that opportunity to go to work from 8 a.m. Latest by 1 o'clock you should close because you need to get home before 2.
That's right.
So the government was looking for the avenue of building peace so that all of us, all the Bawku area, enclave, the Naregu, the other areas, there will be peace there. But I think the government realized that these people are not ready for dialogue and census or coming together to build a peaceful enclave for themselves. So the only option now is that whether you comply or not, we live to see. And I have the force, so I will apply force. When persuasion fails, force is inevitable.
Applied. Speaking of the healthcare system, and Mawana, this is a development here. We'll put that right up back on the page. And in fact, if you can read that out for us, please.
So that's Perpetual Oforiampofo. She's the president of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. We've been having a lot of the health workers in the Bawku enclave raising concerns about the safety of their workers. And she says, and this is a direct quote, that there are some members, health workers, whose lives are in danger. We're calling on our employer, the government and the Ministry of Health, to consider moving our members, particularly those who do not reside in Bawku but are there to duty, out of the area for their safety. And the Ghana Medical Association, that's our doctors as well, a similar call has been coming from their quarters as well.
And so that's what Doc says. If our health workers are being pulled from the area, for those who are sick, what happens?
And it's not just doctors. This is Kingsley Anyimedu, who is the National Comms Director of the Pre-Tertiary Teachers Association of Ghana. They've as well been speaking that they appreciate the government's directive to evacuate learners. However, the situation remains dire. Government must act now to evacuate teachers as well, and they urge their members in these areas to remain calm as they work closely with the security agencies to ensure a safe evacuation. Everybody is being evacuated. Everybody.
Every single soul in that enclave, Ellen, must be evacuated because at the end of the day, the place has become a threatening zone. Your life is at stake. If I have relatives there, I'll quickly tell them, please move out of the place because your life cannot be guaranteed. And let me be a little bit biased here. Let me hit the nail on the head, right on it, because
Doc, as tactfully as you can, because we know this is a sensitive issue, and all week long we've been trying to navigate the conversation in a way that doesn't inflame any kind of passion.
I'm speaking for movement for change,
Okay.
right? But the reason why I said that, someone might think that the NDC government has contracted me to say this. What I'm trying to say is that the government was voted into power to protect lives. That is one of the mandates, the core mandates, to protect lives and properties. So if you have been voted into power to protect lives, and then you find yourself in this mess, what do? You have to bring out or churn out pragmatic measures. This one you don't care. But you see, there is an issue here. The issue is that prior to the 2024 general elections, the NDC blasted the then vice president, who was the flag bearer of MPP.
Indeed.
That this is your backyard. And at your own backyard, there are a lot of conflicts. You are not able to solve it. And that alone, the NDC cashed in more votes from that area. At a point, when the results were coming, some of the polling stations, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia got 0 from the northern region. And so now it is now in the bosom of the NDC. The NPP are saying that you campaign vehemently on this and you want the mandate of the people. What are you doing? Within 7 months, the issue is escalating. That's what the NPP are saying. And it's true. The issue is escalating. So the government, I believe that, decided that, okay, let's impose curfew, but the curfew is not working. The compliance is not coming. So what we have to do is that now we have to force it. And you know, these military men are men in uniform. When it comes to their code of works, obey before you complain. I remember when I was a brigade officer.
Oh, I see, you were a brigade officer.
Yes. Gediakwa Memorial Methodist Church at Takwa and the St. Peter's Anglican Church, all in Takwa.
I'm putting 2 and 2 together. Okay.
And we're told during our drill sessions, we're told, even if a snake bites you, you don't
react, you don't move.
You don't react to it. Stay there. Brigade, that is a church brigade. But we were told that the principles governing that is a different ball game altogether. And so these are military men are ruthless. Let me use that word. They are ruthless. They don't understand the language of civilians. Some of the military officers themselves, those that are at the airborne Tamale area, those areas in the bush, when they come to town and they see their colleague, fellow uniform officers, they tell them, you are civilians. Do you know that military officers are trained to shoot and kill? When
they call it neutralizing.
When they realize that the issue will overpower them, or they won't have that any other thing to do, then they have to shoot and kill. What I want the Bawku residents to do is that they should comply with the curfew that is being imposed. The Nanyeri chief should, if he has anything to do or want anything to be done, he should sit on the table with the interior minister, together with the regional minister. I don't think that the interior minister, just out of blue, decided to impose the curfew. There will be a consultation with the regional security council and then the district security council, which the MCE is in charge, and then the regional minister is in charge. So there should be some consultation. If it wasn't done, then it is not too late to do. They can still come together, build a dialogue or consensus, and find a way to mitigate the situation. Because for 94 years, sharp brains have been killed, buried. There are more coming. Who knows what would have become of these 3 students? Probably some of them would have become Minister of State or Health to develop their area, or business mogul to develop the area. But these people have met an untimely death. The situation is not a good one, because I raised a child from pregnancy stage to birth, and then the child goes through that stages to get into the SHS, thinking that my son or my daughter will eventually graduate from university, find a job to do, and then be of help to the other siblings or the family. Then all of a sudden I hear news that my son is dead. If you are a mother, a father, a parent, what will you do?
Very devastating indeed. I want to talk about political will. From where you sit, over the course of time, and you take us back into the origins of this conflict, has there been adequate political will to push for lasting peace in Bawku?
My simple answer is no, because politicians, both the MPP and the NDC, have waved their way into this matter by politicizing it. You see, when there is an issue, a national issue, and a political party decides to politicize it, this is where we get to. Because there will be nobody to really step his foot on the ground and say that whether it goes against me or in my favor, I'm going to make sure that this issue is settled once and for all. And we are not saying that. All we get to know or hear is that, an issue has been, a communique has been issued, government is working towards it to make sure we find a lasting solution, and then it keeps reoccurring. This Bawku issue, I remember some time ago this year, the president called on Otunfo to mitigate the issue, be a mediator to bring lasting solution. So you ask yourself, what really happened? What really happened that in just a few days, the issue is becoming unbearable, the problem is escalating? So what is it? Politicians should stay away from chieftaincy matters.
Is that possible? How do we extricate the issue of politics from the issue of chieftaincy? Because they fall under the constitution, like you rightly said. Yes,
I know there is a ministry. You see, what I'm trying to say that if I say they should stay away, politicians should stay away from chieftaincy matters, what I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't politicize it. The fact that I'm coming into government or I'm a political party, when you vote for me, all these issues, I'll come and solve it. You have a land dispute, I'll make sure you get the land. You are the rightful owner to the throne, I'll make sure you get it. Now, you've forgotten that throne, there are royals who are eligible to ascend that seat. Okay? It is not only one family that makes that can sit on that throne. We have different families that are royals. So when you side with one, what happens? As soon as you come to power, the one that you sided with will come after you and tell you that, hey, say, you gave us your word and we want you to fulfill your word. And that is where it has gotten us to. And you know, from 1931 to date, all the issue has been about land. We are the rightful owners. As we speak, when you go to OT, there is another issue there, the Indon area. They are fighting over land supremacy, who came here first. And so that is a problem. I think that we should have that serious political will to fight this issue. Other than that, it will be descending. Now, one of the repercussions is that when they leave their towns, Ghana belongs to all of us. So you have every right to go to anywhere in the country and sojourn. Okay? But at the end of the day, when they leave and come to Accra, Takoradi, Kumasi, now these places become overly populated. Today, the Kayayes that we have here in Accra, in Kumasi, Takoradi, Cape Coast, if we had given them an opportunity by creating jobs for them in the northern enclaves, do you think they will come? They won't come. Even if they will come, the number will be small, so that they can develop the area. And that was the concept of Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, deciding that he will give them free education so that when they grow up after school, they can establish businesses in that area. But as soon as our northern brothers, after getting all the qualifications and the technical know-how, they say, oh, let's come back down to Accra because jobs are in Accra. What are you doing? You are an electrical engineer. Can't you set up something there so that you employ the people who are ready to work? So it is high time that we have to put the government on his toes and demand more answers. That we want you to set aside your political interests and fight for the cause of the people that has voted for you. And the NDC in government should not think that they will continue to enjoy the goodwill of the people continuously for 4 years. It will not be there.
They will certainly, hit some potholes and some pitfalls.
It will be declining. Currently, it is declining, and they are not seeing it. You have communicators coming around, some from other parties, are praising you. Yes, it's good, but at the end of the day, whilst someone is praising you, sit down and do retrospection of yourself and ask, am I really doing good? What these people are saying, is it true? Because if you dance to the tune, a time will come, you'll be dancing whilst no music is being played. And so they have to be very careful and then not take the goodwill of the people for granted, because the people of Bawku, they are watching.
Well, we'll be wrapping up on this conversation on Bawku very shortly, in the next minute or so we can get on to our second and third topics of the morning. It's an ongoing conversation. We know that it matters to you, so it certainly matters to us. But Doc, should the mediation processes still be applied at this point, or should we abandon that entirely in the name of, peace enforcement? Because the conversations have been going on, and we don't seem to see any fruit being born out of these conversations. Government says from peacekeeping to peace enforcement. Should we focus on that before we reignite that conversation, or can this be solved in a two-pronged approach?
I believe that the peace process being brokered by the Asante shouldn't be abandoned. It should continue.
Are the efforts not in vain?
No. You see,
I mean, Doc, let me be frank. As a fellow Ghanaian, are you not exasperated? I mean, we talk about this every other day, and sometimes it feels helpless, it feels hopeless. Even getting into the nitty-gritty, we're told, tread carefully lest you go and land on a landmine.
Let me say this. There is a statement in Akan that says,
to it?
When you are visiting a deity, you don't visit once, you don't go twice, you go there thrice. The first one may hit a rock, the second one too, but the third one,
you might be lucky,
and the person might reason with you. So we still have to continue. You don't have to give up. The issue is not a small issue as we see. It is not an issue that is light. It has its own repercussions and other issues attached to it. So the people of Bawku themselves should give peace a chance to reign. They are brothers. The Mamprosis and the Kusasis. I remember in Nigeria I was learning the Mamprosi language. And they are very good people. They are very, very good people. All of them. Ghanaians are given to hospitality. But the problem is that among ourselves, we tend to be putting knives at the throat of each other. That will not help. Let's live together. We are one people. We don't have anywhere to go. And everyone is dependent on each other. Today I am here in good health. A day will come, or just a minute after here, I may not be in good health and I will need a help. So when I go let's say I'm a Kusasi, and I get problem, and the only person available is Mamprisi. Would I say I will reject the person's help because he's not from my tribe? No. One thing I love about the Muslims, the moment you hear Mikeche,
what does that mean?
I don't really know the meaning, but I've heard the word.
I think to try and hazard a guess, maybe it could be WhatsApp or what's happening, something in that regard.
How they will move. They move. Have you seen Muslims? They will defend their brother without hearing the matter. After, then they call brother, what you did, I believe it was not right. That is a typical, well-cultured Muslim.
Are we slowly losing this oneness as a people? One people, one destiny,
one nation.
One nation. Are we?
One tribe.
Is it being eroded? That sense of oneness.
I got worried when the Domahine and Otunfo's feud was being broadcast every now and then. You are not the only king. I'm also a king. You see, I didn't want to wave into that, but I believe that is what is happening now. Everybody is looking for that sense of belonging. I am superior to you. I am this to you, and so the selfish interest is setting in. It's me. It's all about me. And if it's all about you, you don't care about the other. And that is where we are getting to. We are losing our core value as a nation. We are losing our core value as our sense of belonging, that I belong to this. This is a brother, this is a friend, this is a relative. You see, we are intermarrying ourselves.
And yet, I mean, we still don't seem to find that cohesion. But Doc, thank you for those thoughts. Something for us to ruminate on. Let me quickly bring into the conversation Dr. Victor Doke, security lecturer and analyst. Doc, hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you all?
We're doing fantastic. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. And of course, Bawku, back in the spotlight. What underlying security challenges have prolonged this conflict?
Right. Underlying security challenges. I'll just go with regards to mentioning a few. Number one, we look at the enforcement of curfews, which has now been renewed from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. or so, which shows that military and police joint security task force, enforcing it, thereby stopping anybody or conducting checks. The only issue is now with regards to the targeted, killing of individuals, innocent people, and in the past with regards to security personnel themselves, which has been very, very, very challenging. So now it seems that what is happening is akin to you being responsible for your own security. Now, the other challenge is regards to how these criminal elements who have taken advantage of the situation are perpetrating their activities. Are they known to the security services? Is there a group of people from each of the ethnic divide that have taken upon themselves to be perpetrating attacks, retaliatory attacks here and there? So I think once the security is in place there, rest assured, if not, that they have already taken steps and then activating intelligence to know where these criminal elements are. They should work on it, get the opinion leaders involved. And then I think we need to invest more in the equipment that we use to fight the crime or enforce curfews. I'm talking about the aspect of investment in more drones in the area vehicles that can identify movement, that can identify where criminal elements are operating from, that can identify where cache of weapons have been stored and whatnot. So these are areas that we need to look at, and by and large, on the underlying security successes and challenges in Bawku and its enclaves.
Now, how effective then would you say the military's intervention has been compared to previous peacekeeping and police efforts? Because there are, some people who have major concerns about militarizing Bawku in terms of human rights and civil liberties. Weigh in on that for me, Doc.
Yeah, I mean, it's legitimate concern have been raised by people looking at the allegations, the evidence that have come out of the, confrontations between the military and civilian. But let's look holistically at the mandate of the military to enforce the curfews, okay? Which curfews are one of the ways to, immediately attack any kind of situation. So curfews in itself, in the mid to long term, do not resolve conflicts. They are one of the ways to stop the clashes between two groups. Now, when that is done, you look holistically at what engagement with the two sides. But the military's activities have been mainly and solely associated with this mandate to keep the peace. Okay, keeping the peace means that you engage with other sister security agencies where necessary. You patrol, you conduct searches. They are escorting buses from A to B to avoid attacks on leads, buses, and thereby loss of lives. And then any kind of threat, okay, foreign elements that would want to take advantage and of the conflict and then perpetrate more crime. This is mainly the mandate of the military or the security agencies. And then also to undertake some level of peace building efforts by visiting the various camps to commiserate with them, and then to send their message that they are here for peace. They need a collaboration of the communities themselves, and whatnot. And we've seen that in the past, where hierarchy of the military, IGP also was there. All this is to foster some sense of collaboration and then harmony between these two. But by and large, whatever that has happened is quite unfortunate with regards to the activities with our military men and then the civilians. Investigations would only conclude what actually is it that really happened on the ground, okay, what has been reported. So I think in as much as we are looking at dealing or addressing with the conflict, we should look at also conducting investigations to bring finality to these allegations or these events that have occurred. And that would also, in one way or the other, build and foster trust between the civilians and then the military at large. But by and large, as long as our security agencies remain neutral, they stick to their mandate and not meddle in any traditional issues, I think they are good to go, and then they won't be labeled as supporting one group or function, which would be very detrimental.
Certainly. Do you think then that possibly there are some alternative security strategies that could maybe yield better results in Bawku, or do you think the buck really stops with the military?
One. Now, what the security agencies are doing is known. There is no new strategy for what they have to do, apart from ensuring the two sides do not clash, apart from the curfew, investing the two sides, and then one other thing which may come into force, okay, is conducting community search based on intelligence with regards to weapons that have been hidden or stashed somewhere. That is what I'm waiting to see. And I think in connection with the enforcement that has been implemented in the past days, I'm sure and hope that the one aspect of military strategy that can also help with regards to the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in that area is to conduct searches and see and confiscate the weapons that are being used in that area. And I think that will go a very long way, because we can do everything, But if we are not also looking at what retrieving and then encouraging the youth to surrender their weapons, these weapons still are in their hands, and any little provocation means they go back to the use of these weapons. So I think one of the strategies that they should also look at is conducting the searches based on intelligence to seize weapons. And then, as I mentioned before, investing more in the aerial or drone system mechanism with regards to fighting these crimes and boosting their strategy in all.
Now, for Ghanaians who are not close to the action, as it were, who don't see a reason to be concerned about what's going on in Bawku, how does the insecurity in Bawku affect nearby regions and national stability as a whole?
Right. So how it affects the other regions, if we hear about the concept of spillover, where you have indigenous of these two ethnic groups all over in Accra, Ashaman, Kumasi, Abubushi, and elsewhere, there's a potential of having pockets of violence because you are talking about these two ethnic groups, and with regards to any little argument will spark some level of violence. So when these spillovers happen and we have pockets of violence elsewhere, it generally breeds insecurity, and then criminality also sets in, because this is an avenue. Chaos or violence is an avenue for criminal elements to operate. You're also looking at the use of illegal weapons that will be used in these confrontations. So holistically, it involves funds for security agencies to move in to quell these kind of attacks. It involves a lot, the manpower, the lives of these security persons, not only the citizens are also at stake. Nationally, we are talking about budgets that will be released to tackle these issues. If you can remember last year, there was an issue with regards to some 6 million Ghana cedis, correct me if I'm wrong, they're about quarterly, which is being spent with regards to the Bawku conflict, and how questions came up about the breakdown of this 6 million and whatnot. So you see, you multiply that 6 times the 12 of the quarters, the 4 quarters we have, that's a lot of money that the state, costs out. You're talking about keeping the soldiers in Bawku anytime hours on their feet, that is providing food, providing shelter, providing fuel, transportation of equipment, the vehicles that go in, and all of that. You're talking about the big men that also go into Bawku. They go in with their vehicles. Those who have to fly in, fly in. All these connect to the national budget. So at the end of the day, the quantum of funds that goes in there can and should be used for other developmental purposes. So imagine that we have the quantum of funds that have been spent in the last 3 years in Bawku and its around building factories. It would have been very, very, very lucrative for the youth there. So there's a lot that goes in. And all these affect not only the citizens, it relates to regions, it relates to communities, constituencies, and then nationally. Now, what image does it create for our country? It means we are not able to tackle the challenges with regards to inter-ethnic conflicts. These conflicts, as it prolongs, can be a conduit for armed elements to take advantage of. And that's why you see the heavy deployment in those areas, because of the proximity of our northern borders to our sister countries. We are ensuring that those armed elements do not find their ways into our country. All that involves funds. So there's a lot. So as of now, every individual is responsible for their own security. You take care of yourself when you're going out, who you relate to, don't stoke up any argument that you know can cause violence.
Right.
And then you monitor information. I think that's the way forward now.
Certainly. And Doc, final question from my colleague Mauna, who's also in the studio, and then we'll wrap up on our Bawku conversation.
Right. Doc, just finally on investigations into persons who are benefiting or fueling this conflict. It comes up every now and then when we have this conversation about Bawku, and we're asking this because from what we've heard from the government, this mediation work which is being done by the Otumfuo-led committee was almost at its end, where peace was going to return to Bawku until we began to see this escalation. And everybody is saying people are fueling the conflict, reason why we're seeing the resurgence. How is it that we've not been able to identify who is fueling the conflict and bring these individuals to book?
Well, in conflict situations such as this, it's very, very difficult to identify those that we term the shadow stakeholders. They are behind the scenes supporting whatever way they can, with funds, with weapons, with training or whatever. And it's very difficult to identify these persons, but they are known by the youths or the persons that they use. So it is only getting to these youths, those who are involved in the armed confrontations, and hopefully when they are arrested, it is only when they can volunteer information. They need to sit in here in Accra funding the conflict because of the benefits that they reap from it. It can be in numbers or it can be in issues relating to smuggling or whatnot. There's a lot that goes into conflict and what we call conflict profiteers. It is very essential that these people are identified as to whether the mediation led by the Otumfuo was come to an end as per what was put in the statement. It's another thing. How do we even get the two sides back to continue where they left it? But I think the Otumfuo in his own wisdom will be able to navigate that. But I also maintain and have been drumming that after the mediation, who are those who are going to enforce the recommendations that come out of it, of the mediation? We need a very strong technical working team, if I should put it that way. Those from the state side, civil society organizations, those from the region, wherever, who are going to ensure that they implement the recommendations to the latter. We remember in 2000 and 2001, there was a consortium of NGOs that happened in Kumasi with regards to the same Bawku issue. There were a lot of recommendations that were not implemented. If half of those recommendations were implemented, some talking about a permanent office for the Bawku Ethnic Peace Committee to operate, wouldn't have been where we are, because that committee was capable and essential to what the peace in Bawku. So holistically, identifying these shadow stakeholders is essential. We can only expand our intelligence, get these youths to identify and pinpoint even where they themselves get the weapons is one. The routes they take to other bordering towns to get weapons is another. So holistically, we are talking about a lot of operational activities that will have to go in after the conclusion of the mediation, because we are looking at how the February 2023 dynamics with regards to the escapement of the rival chief there is going to play out. What do you do in that instance? Okay, and that's one thing I personally connect this current enforcement with. That as the mediation is come to a close, the enforcement will ensure that whoever does not adhere to the legitimately agreed processes that the two sides have come to terms with, then they will be found wanting and dealt with according to law.
Doc, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning and for joining us on the program. Dr. Victor Doke is a security lecturer and also an analyst. And from one doc to another, we still have in the studios Dr. George Hamilton. He's been speaking with us about the Bawku issue. And Doc, if you can summarize your thoughts in just a minute, and then we'll get on to money matters. The minority has a lot to say about the mid-year budget review. They were not there in the chamber, but they've clearly done their homework. They've gone back and reviewed the documentation, and now they have their own thoughts. We want to get into that as well.
For me, I would like the people of Bawku themselves to give peace room to reign, because peace is paramount and that you need it. They need to go back to their work. They need to provide for their families. The women that have run into bushes and forests, and the men that have now become women, will need to return. So development must be seen in the area they find themselves in their area. So Bawku should give themselves that peace. They should get tired of these infighting and backbiting each other and killing innocent souls. And I want to ask the government to, as a matter of urgency, if anybody is involved or anyone, any other person that is involved, the culprit must be brought to book without fear or favor, as the president said when he was being sworn into office. We expect that to happen.
Certainly. Let's talk money matters. And on the floor of Parliament, we heard from former Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam that government has over unfunded projects. In fact, let me not stumble over the words. Take a listen to what he had to say on the floor of Parliament, and then we can take a listen to that presser as well.
During the debate on the main 2025 budget, I expressed my disappointment at the inadequate provisions made to fund the government priority projects, what they call their flagship projects. And the mid-year budget presented by the minister has somehow confirmed my fear, because I've looked at all the releases made towards these priority projects, and I'm so sad that the minister has not shown enough commitment to fund these projects that they promised the people of Ghana. As I speak to you, the minister has not released a cent to the Gold Board for the operations of the Gold Board, not a cent. All the funds the Gold Board has used so far has come from the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has pre-financed the operations of the Gold Board, has pre-financed the purchases of gold. Because the minister is not releasing funds towards the implementation of this project, there is no money out there. I came from my constituency yesterday. The farmers have told me they have farm produce, but nobody is buying. Nobody is buying. There is no money. The minister launched 28 treasury auctions over the last 6 months. 13 of them were failures. Auction shortfalls. The money the minister would have released to implement this program, the minister has rather used that money to pay the shortfalls.
When we took over power, the primary balance on commitment basis was at negative 3.9%, which was a deficit. And when the finance minister came here, he said that this year, or by half year, we had projected to achieve a primary surplus of 0.4%. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister reported that we have in fact exceeded that and done a primary surplus of 1.1%. It simply means that we spent less than we earned.
The gold purchase program, which is one of the major contributors to where we are today, was launched on the 17th of June 2021. So I commend the government for continuing with the gold purchase program. The gold purchase program was being done by the Bank of Ghana and the PMMC. The Bank of Ghana is still here. The PMMC is what you've rebranded as Gold Board. Take your flagship programs. You said you are going to do a national apprenticeship program. So far, because of the fiscal failure, you have only been able to release 7% of the budget. Because of the fiscal failure, your 1 million coders program, you have released 0% of the budget. Because of the fiscal failure, the Agric for Economic Transformation agenda, you've released 0% of the budget. The Women's Development Bank, you've released 0% of the budget.
Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
You've released 0%.
If you also remember, we have consistently stated that the government did not provide budget for the 24-hour economy. The minister has now conceded in the mid-year review that it will provide funding in the 2026 budget to implement the program. The question is, why do you launch a program when you have no budget to implement it? We know, but we on the minority side know why the minister has failed to fund these priority programs of the government.
We know. Because the records show that out of the total 28 treasury auctions held from January 3rd, 2025 to July 11, 2025, 13 auctions failed to meet the auction target. Therefore, the minister had to divert the funds meant for these priority programs to fund the auction shortfall, which would not have arisen if he had not manipulated interest rates on government treasuries.
This is not the first time that we are having our debt stock.
3FM 92.7.
Between November and December 2022, Ghana's debt stock, on account of the heavy appreciation of the cedi that time, reduced from 382.7 billion cedis to 240.9 billion cedis, i.e., Ghana's debt stock reduced from November 2022 to December 2022 by 141.8 billion cedis.
At the beginning of the year, we warned that there was so much incoherence between their manifesto and the economic policy that they brought to the House. But there are other elements in their manifesto which still didn't show up and haven't shown up at mid-year. And we like to remind them. They promised an economic transformation agenda, and then they promised an economic recovery program. We want to encourage them that in 2026 they should try and bring some coherence.
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
That they will be delivering.
If you also remember.
All right, and some voices there from both the minority and the majority as the debate rages on. We're talking about the mid-year budget review that was presented to the House last Friday by Honorable Dr. Kasiel Atufos. And joining us also in this conversation is Honorable Atta Issa, MP for Sagnerigu and Parliament's Finance Committee member. Honorable, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you too?
I am doing fantastic. We're just listening there, the final voice there of Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, and he says that you promised some economic recovery. He says some of the thoughts as brought forth by your side have been incoherent. What do you say to that?
So, good morning to your listeners and to yourself. I think that it will be important for the interviewer to demand the policy incoherence that was talked about. Because if you look at the government fiscal policy in March that was presented, the fiscal policy was actually derived out of the manifesto of the 2024 campaign that was presented to Ghanaians by the NDC. And I am very proud that a lot of the programs that we have promised to do over the next 4 years have actually found expression in the 2025 budget. That is just the first year in government. The second issue, too, is that you must acknowledge the manifesto pledge was to be delivered if government gives us a mandate or if Ghanaians gives us a mandate for the next 4 years. So you don't expect 100% manifesto commitment fulfillment within your first budget. So that in itself is problematic for me. But what was the situation that we promised? We promised to make sure that tertiary education at the first year becomes free. Currently, over 300 million Ghana citizens has been refunded to people who had earlier gotten admission before the government put in structure. The second issue is that we promised the Juma World program, the National Apprenticeship program, increasing school feeding enrollment, relief beneficiaries, and road infrastructure under the Big Push program. These have all been found expressions in the 2025 fiscal year. So I don't know exactly the policy incoherence that he's talking about, unless maybe he shares some with you that you can tell me about that.
Well, this was at a presser that was organized by the minority, and we sought to play a few clips further to what we also heard on the floor of Parliament.
Yeah. So do you want me to deal with the press conference that they did? So
Indeed.
That I'll just go straight
yes, please.
So I will let me just pick them one after the other.
Sure.
And so that we can deal with the issue once and for all. So first of all, they talked about the gold board.
That's right.
That government promised to release $279 million US to support the gold board revolving operations. However, according to them, government has not released any CD or a dollar to them. However, it is the Bank of Ghana that is providing the funds. But I just want to dispel that notion, first of all, by saying that if you look at the Bank of Ghana's Act, it states in Section 6 that mandate of foreign exchange operations are solely funded by the Bank of Ghana. In fact, under the Gold Board Act 1140, sources of financing to the gold board from government is through the budget annual allocations that we normally give to every agency and department. But in this case, we carefully capped it as a revolving fund. What it simply means is that the fund comes, it goes and purchases the gold, give to Bank of Ghana, which by law is mandated to keep the reserves of this country. So if you see that it is Bank of Ghana that is giving money for gold board to purchase gold under the program, is something bad, then you don't appreciate the parliament laws that we normally pass. Because the Bank of Ghana, as one of the sources of funding for that, is the support for Bank of Ghana to support their foreign operations. That is found in Section 4 of the Bank of Ghana's Act. The second issue, too, is that the most important thing Ghanaians should focus ourselves with is whether the gold board has impacted the economic operations of this country. The IMF categorically stated under the fifth review that the economic performance is anchored on gold price surge and quantum of gold. So it means that the export volumes of gold have increased from about 28 tons to 53 tons. And that translated to the total of $8.98 billion as of December 2024 to about $11.1 billion as of June 2025. And that is why you are seeing that the CD is appreciated by 42% against the dollar and similar ones to many other trading currencies. And they can put the impact it is making. But the business community has some level of certainty and that they can plan with that level of stability that we are seeing. And it is actually reflecting in the price of goods and services in the market. Then the second issue they talked about is that the CD is not peaking, but rather the Abochi is the one that has the dollar. Look, it is so pedestrian, especially coming from a former finance minister. In fact, literature is still there is still a literature ongoing as to how to synergize between interbank rates, the Bank of Ghana rate, and that of the forex market rate. Oftentimes, it is the risk premium that is paid by the forex market and the interbank rate that ups it from the Bank of Ghana's own rate. So if you say Adochi get the dollar, the question I ask myself is, when did Abochi suddenly appear in Ghana? Abochis have always been in Ghana, and that is why in 2023, the government of Ghana, through the Bank of Ghana, instituted the task force that was there on the principal streets of Accra and other major cities, ramping up the operations of the Abochi. But the truth of the matter is that even if the Abochi rate is 12 cedis like they claim, a 12 cedi to dollar performance is still it's still better than the over 15 to 16 Ghana cedis we inherited in 2025, January. So what is the issue? Because if the idea was that the Abochi rate is performing poorer than we inherited, then we could have said that then there's a problem. But if the situation is that then even the Abochi rate that you are claiming at 12 Ghana cedi is still better than we inherited. The third issue they talk about, and I will quote from the ranking finance committee, he said, the job stock has reduced because of the work of the previous MPP government. The finance minister did not do anything to pay our debt. That is the mistake that they are doing again. And I don't blame him. Maybe he's an energy economist. But let me just provide little information. We have a debt flow and a debt stock. A debt flow simply talks about what regularly you accumulate and you also dispenses the debt. As you accumulate, you pay. But the debt stock is the unaccounted or unpaid debt stock of your country. And that has two components. We have the domestic debt component and the external debt component. Now, the NPP moved the dollar from about 120 billion to 751 billion, not because their accumulation was about 600 billion. Part of what drove the debt out was the externally dollar-rated debt. So when your exchange rate is not performing and the external debt who are maturing, you have to convert those external debt at the prevailing spot rate. And at that time, the cedi to the dollar has already ballooned to about 15 to 16 Ghana cedis. So your debt is increasing, not because of debt accumulation, but because of exchange differentials. What the finance minister has simply done is that because the dollar and the cedi relationship has increased by about 42%, all dollar-rated external debt would have to fall. And that's why we are saying that. Yes, we are not paying in. But what is happening is that we had a total debt of about 721 billion. It has reduced to 613 billion because of exchange differentials. Because all dollar-rated debt will now have to reflect the current prevailing market rate for the forex. That is what we are talking about. Also, internal debt is also on the decline because government treasury performance. If you look at our treasury bill for 91 days treasury bill, we are doing about 14%. We inherited it at about 30 or 29%. Now it's at 14%. So all maturing treasury bill rate on new auctions will come at 14%. And that's why I'm not surprised. If you look at the domestic interest payment, you see that the domestic interest payment has reduced by 4.9 billion Ghana cedis. When you come to this issue that they talked about, this administration has become a government of certificate of urgency. They have increased a levy on marine gas from 23 pesos to 1 cedi 93 pesos. That is also misinformation. Please, let me use this opportunity to clarify this important issue.
Certainly.
The marine gas is not a tax. Government has provided a subsidy with the intention that all fishing from artisanal mining ceases, and then people focus on non-artisanal mining. That will introduce some level of free fall of the series of those items in the market. What did we rather see? We rather see that as a result of non-artisanal miners having exemptions and subsidies, they rather produce at lower cost, then exported the produce to neighboring countries through smuggling. So government is reversing the subsidy decision. So I am not sure a subsidy being removed should be classified as a tax handle if you really know the principles of taxation. Now, they also talked about Ghanaians now have a raw deal. The raw deal is that the Bank of Ghana in its June release said in 2024, 4 out of every 10 Ghanaians were averaging poor. Currently, 2 out of every Ghanaian is now classified as poor. So government has increased the standards of living of the country. In fact, by the end of November 2024, over 2.5 million Ghanaians were pushed into the poverty line by the multi-poverty dimension poverty reporting as done by the World Bank. Currently, we have reduced it by almost 490,000 Ghanaians have left the poverty line, not because of increase in absolute income, but because of the decline in price of goods and services. GUTA and Importers and Exporters Association also provided information to Parliament that close to 4,000 products currently traded in Ghana have seen price reduction, and that is what is important to the average Ghanaian. So for me, the press conference were litigated already on the floor of Parliament, but as usual of an opposition party, you don't expect them to also keep quiet. The truth of the matter is that all the things that they had brought to the press conference were already litigated during their time at the debate. So what was the necessity for the press release? What they simply seek to do was to make sure that we discuss it like we are doing this morning. But the Ghanaian watching knows there is investor confidence in the Ghanaian economy, and it is reflected in the rating agencies' outlook and the performance and the ratings. Because Fitch and S&P have upgraded Ghana, giving us a positive outlook. And that is for the first time in 2019. Ghana is qualified to enter into the capital market to borrow at a concessionary rate.
All right, certainly.
That's what Ghanaians want to know. Look at the net capital inflow, finally.
Sure.
Net capital inflow. If you look at capital that leaves this country and capital that comes into this country, the net is a positive $792 million US. That demonstrates that business community in the external sector have confidence in Ghana once again.
Honorable, thank you so much for dealing with these issues very comprehensively. In fact, you've answered every single question that I had on the list regarding what was said on the floor of Parliament and that subsequent presser. So we're grateful for your time this morning and for shedding some more light on these issues. I know the debates continue, and in due course we'll have more to discuss. Thank you so much. And that was Honorable Atta Issa, MP for Sagnerigu. He's also on the Parliament's Finance Committee. Well, Dr. Hamilton is still in the studio, and sometimes when the jargon is ongoing, I'm tempted to sort of drift into a bit of a daydream. Forgive me for that. For the everyday Ghanaian, are the real figures of concern? What are the real figures of concern? What are the real issues in contention? I mean, when we hit the streets on Friday or Thursday in anticipation of the mid-year budget review, the issues for the everyday Ghanaian, simple. What I'll eat, what I'll put in my pocket, what I'll use to give to the kids to go to school, what I'll give to my wife to go to the market. These are the everyday issues. What were your thoughts on the mid-year budget review, and did it address any burning concerns that you have?
Ellen, see my pocket.
Doc. Okay, I'm seeing the pockets. I'm seeing each pocket. Marvin, are you seeing clearly? You are closer to the action.
I am closer. I can see they are.
Although
empty.
I am confident this is not a representation of Doc's real fiscal value. The pockets these fiscal pockets might be empty, but the other pockets, I know that.
That's what we call
exactly
mobile money.
Ellen.
Yes.
What pockets are you talking about again?
The everyday Ghanaians' pockets.
Pocket. This represents the pockets of Ghanaians.
And if you're watching us, you can see these empty pockets. Doc, in fact, if you move to the center, we can really see. In fact, give us a clear view of what's in the pocket.
There's nothing here.
Okay, Mana, give us a clear view. If you move that chair to the side for us. Okay.
This is the proper representation of
proper representation of what Ghanaians are feeling.
And Doc, get closer to the mic so we can hear you, please.
Yeah, we can attest to the fact that the government is doing its bit.
So you showed us the physical pocket. What about the electronic pocket?
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there
nothing there as well. We are feeling the heat. There's no money in the system. Money is not flowing.
You just heard from Honorable Atta. He says the macros look good. If you think about the poverty line, many more Ghanaians have crossed over. The inflationary targets were on track. That certainly cannot be the case, Doc.
There's no dispute about that. And I'm being magnanimous to the government, in the sense that, yes, we know the inflation rate has reduced from 23 point something percent, I think 23.8 to 11.7%.
We're at 13.7%. As of January, we're doing 23.5%. So a drop.
Yes. But the red indicators is the pocket. The money is not there.
But Doc, a simple argument can be made that if you drove here, the amount you spend in buying fuel, there's been a significant drop.
How much is the fuel now? If there's an increase of
if you didn't drive, in terms of transport fares, how much you were paying, there's been a drop. And if we can attempt to provide what the facts are, even on the fuel prices, we started off the year at specific pump prices. It came down, it's gone up again. Mm-hmm. Has it reached the point where we started off in January? The government will argue they've given you or they've made some savings for you in your pocket as well. Yesterday I was speaking to somebody who said, look, as much as they can agree there's a lot more that needs to be done, for starters, 1,000 cedis didn't used to fill their tank. Now 1,000 cedis worth of fuel their tank will be full and the rest will spill onto the ground.
You are speaking with people who have 1,000 cedis to fill their tank.
No, I mean, these are realities that exist.
I think you are speaking to those who are holding something hefty.
Different people.
Right.
And so, even if you use a Toyota Vitz, and this is no defense, I just like for us to establish what the fact is and then get people to then come forward with what their concerns are. And so, even for the government, when they say they've reduced the forex rates, the traders say they can't get the dollars. And that's why the BOG is being asked to provide the forex. If you say it's at 10 cedis, give it to the traders, let them go and bring their goods in so the prices can drop as well.
Do you know the problem? The speculations and some way, somehow, it is the people that have been accused have not come out to refute the accusations that when the central bank, the Bank of Ghana, releases dollars to the commercial banks, it has to go to commercial bank, then they also disperse it. These managers will hold.
They are hoarding the dollars.
The dollar, and rather, instead of, if they are to give, they are giving $200,000 to be given to these commercial banks, and then they also send it to the other banks that are not commercial. Like we have the commercial banks, we have the Barclays, all these other banks. Then, let's say, Ellen, you are a bank, and I bring you 50. It's left with 150, right? Then I give another 20, 30. The rest, I send it to the Abochi people. Then when you are coming, you want the dollar, I'll tell you I don't have the dollar. I have someone, let me call the person and check the rates for you. This is what is happening in the system. And that is the reason why you go to the banks, you don't get the dollars, but the Abochis have the dollar. Who sent the dollars to them? Yesterday I was at coming home from Circle, and you from the then they'll be calling you.
They call.
They'll be flipping their fingers like this.
If you want to
change. Where did they get the dollar from? The dollar, the Abochi does not have the license to go to Bank of Ghana or Forex Bureau that I want to buy dollars and exchange them. So who gave them the dollars? Our managers of the money probably gave them the dollars. So we should find a root cause. This is the root cause. We should find a solution to it. All right. But the issue here, my brother raised, is that I'm not driving at the moment, so I use commuting buses.
Yeah.
Some of the trotro mates are charging more than they are supposed to charge. If you are paying 10 cedis, if you used to pay 10 cedis, now it's being reduced by 15%, which means that you have to pay 8 cedis, 50 pesos, right? They are taking 9 cedis.
And in fact, depending on what time of day you actually stop, or that's even from the get-go, from the morning.
Yes. And sometimes this distance is very short, but instead of they taking it maybe 5 cedis, they tell you it's 7 cedis. So literally, we may say that yes, the inflation rate has gone down, the dollar rate has gone down, but we are still feeling the heat. A ball of kenke, as was being sold then, is still the same. A bag of rice that is being sold, now, I know some of them, the prices have reduced.
Yeah, some prices have gone.
Honorable talked about some over 4,000 items where the price has been reduced.
He should have listed them.
All 4,000.
At least.
I think he listed some became the subject of intense conversation.
So the average Ghanaian is still crying. There's no money in the system.
It looks good on paper, but you're saying in reality it's different.
In reality, there's different. It is a different ball game altogether. You go to the market, you have, let's say, the 1,000 cedis my brother mentioned. If at the end of the month your salary is 1,000 or below 1,000, how will you be able to manage your way through it? And that is why the Kwesi Broni will tell us that Ghanaians are magicians.
How are we managing?
You see, so it is something else. I said that when the dollar was about 14, 15 thereabout, I said that by the time we get to the end of June, the dollar will come to at least 10 cedis. I said it on one of the radio stations and the TV stations, and thank God I was vindicated, because the NDC guy who was on the panel said, no, it will not happen. Is it by revelation or what? I am not an economist, but I have followed what the trend.
The trends.
Okay, so I said it, and it happened. And it's 10, I think it's 10.20 or something now. Do you get me? But the issue here is that when I want to see a change in a drop of price in the ball of kenke, I'll go to the kenke seller, Auntie Akole, to buy, reduce.
Doc, is kenke is your favorite? You've mentioned kenke many times.
I'm not. If you live in Accra,
the means to assess
the kenkenomics of it, we're told the size has even reduced.
The size, you agree? And I will tell you that they go to the market and buy it at a high cost, and they have to. They need profits too. So you are buying it at a price that they rip you off. You get it? So at the end of the day, who suffers? It's still the Ghanaian, that person that down there at the grassroots. Mind you, these ministers, they don't pay for fuel. They are giving fuel for free.
We're told some measures are now in place for the scrapping of the fuel coupons.
That's no longer that's no longer what exists now, because the government
has
scrapped in totality.
They scrapped it off
to all government.
Wow.
That was just before that 1 Ghana cedi per litre of fuel came in, and the president announced that he was going to scrap that, so that we all feel
how sustainable this will be.
You have your doubts.
Will it continue till the end, the tenure of Mahamas?
Well, that's the point I was making. That there's been a number of measures that have been taken. So we know that the government, they cancelled DSTV subscriptions for the presidency on all ministries, departments, and agencies. They've asked that all government appointees, head of state-owned organizations, they not be given fuel allowance and the likes. It from the communication, because we got explanation from spokespersons at the Jubilee House that this is supposed to last the entire tenure of President Mahama.
We'll look to see.
Yes, there are doubts. The minority has raised their doubts. Said, look, there's the Castle Atusu. There's a fuel station there where they just drive in and then they fill their tanks. And so if the government says fuel allowance has been scrapped, then that fuel station
that
should
the security experts will tell you has its own reasons why we have some of these pumps as strategic installations. Yes,
absolutely. No, I'm just raising that argument in terms of the criticism, because Doc is also raising the question about how true this can be implemented to the latter. And so they are the concerns, but on paper, these are the offerings the government says they have provided to Ghanaians as part of burden sharing. The question will be asked, is it being implemented down to everybody and making sure?
You saw Doc's pockets. He says it looks great on paper. He opened up the pockets and there wasn't too much in there. As for the electronic pockets,
too much. There was nothing in there.
I can't be sure. I'll put my hand in the pocket and ascertain for myself. I saw it, but who knows? There could be a secret pocket somewhere. But I know the electronic pocket.
I'm a very truthful person. I'm a very transparent one. I can't tell my goodness, but I can tell you that just as my palm is, so is my heart. And I'll tell you exactly as it is. I wouldn't mince words.
Certainly.
What I fear, I won't talk about.
Right. So ultimately, Doc, in wrapping up on this conversation, I understand that you are also waiting to see the macroeconomic goodies trickle down into your pocket and by extension the everyday Ghanaians' pockets. And you are not alone in that assertion. We also wait to see that the kinky will now get bigger, the price get lower, and many more line items also reduce. This government has said that they're on the quest to really check the way that they spend, you and I, our money. And so we keep a keen eye out on that. Time check, it is some 28 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. And this is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. So far, we've talked Bawku, we've talked media budget review. Now, we want to talk about our last topic on the menu this morning, and then we'll get on to our next subject matter. But the NPP, you know that they have decided to embark on their presidential primaries come January 2026. In anticipation for that, the fees for presidential filings have been made available to us. It's 100,000. Let's check. Okay, so we're looking at the history. Okay, fantastic. I can see there 2016. All right, let's take you through some history. Amana, do us the honors of what it has looked like up until this point.
So in 2016, the fee for nomination was 10,000 cedis. When you filed, you were going to pay 75,000 cedis, totaling 85,000 cedis in 2016. That moved to 20,000 to pick up the nomination form, 200,000 cedis for filing, which means that if you pick forms and you file, you're looking at 220,000 cedis. 2024, it was 50,000 cedis to pick up the form, then 300,000 cedis to file, making 350,000 cedis. Guess what? This year, 100,000 cedis to pick up the form and 500,000 cedis to file. That's quite astronomical. I'll be honest.
It's not cheap.
It's not.
Doc, before you flip your pockets inside out, let's talk about the NPP's presidential primary nomination and filing fees, from where it has started up until this point, where we're told if you want to become the flag bearer for the NPP, be prepared to spend some 600,000 Ghanaian cedis, cold hard cash. For those who are in the race, though, I mean, Mana, you were testing the pulse. It's not too hefty of an ask. For others who are counting our transports,
I was saying early on that a number of the CAMs were suggesting, it's good, we're trying to support the party amongst many other things, but in terms of looking at the trajectory, that's quite on the high side. Yes, we can make an argument that mobilizing funds for the party, supporting the party, but the rise in difference between 2016 up until now is quite staggering. We started 10,000 cedis, 75,000 cedis when you file. Now 100,000 cedis just to pick up the form.
So if you pick up the form, I was going to say, and you change your mind, will you get your 100,000 back?
It's non-refundable.
Oh boy!
So you pick up 100,000 cedis, non-refundable. You go and you're going to file
one of the most expensive forms you can buy in Ghana.
Exactly, and I mean the position is the highest position in the country, and so it comes with all of the respect and the necessary perks. But again, in terms of the democracy that we're building, CDD Afrobarometer, they did a survey understanding how much it costs to run for office in the country. At the last time of check, it was in excess of $10 million.
If you want to become a president?
A president.
I see.
Running from filing, picking, campaign, crisscrossing the country. At the last time of check, and I know that figure has gone up by a notch. Was it 10 million or 100 million? It's gone up. And so we continue to have the conversation about the increase in how much politics is costing us as a people, and it doesn't look like we're slowing down. We're just going upwards and upwards and upwards. And then Sixtus made the point that if this were the parliamentary ticket, then you have a concern. A parliamentary ticket or forms is also going to go up if
it's not cheap either.
If anything is to go by. And so then we ask the question, what becomes of the young bright minds and all of that. Yes, you must be resourceful. You should be able to go out and raise capital.
Some heavyweights must endorse you to give us that confidence. You have some backing.
But they don't endorse you for
just like that.
For cheap.
All right,
you
Doc.
have to pay that.
What say you?
I must recommend the MPP party for taking this initiative or bold step, because being in opposition is not an easy thing, and I'm not speaking for them but just sharing my view on what they are yet to do, because taking it from 10,000 up till this time to 100,000, mind you, they are in opposition, so they need money to run the party. Exactly. So they need money to run the party. And these monies they are raising, some will go into administrative for administrative purposes and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, if we really want to be a president, then you must show your worth or your weight. It should be someone who can be trusted with money. That there is a saying that I said it to someone, that I know if I give her money for keeps, and even if she spends it, she will have more. She has more to pay, right? But I'm looking at it from this angle, that it looks like we are making our democracy a moneycracy, rather. Everything is about money. So if you have the money, then you can run for or vie for any position in the political position in this country. And sometimes it goes beyond that, even into corporate world. When one has money, then she thinks that they can bamboozle their way through to get whatever position they want. I believe that it is high time we have to start pulling the tracks, so that we will not get to that point. That, just as your colleague said, someone that might have a sharp brain, very good in thinking, very good in putting down policies, and because he or she doesn't have money, look, put all the 5 candidates that have shown interest: Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Comrade Japan, Dr. Edichum, who else? Patrick Buamwa, Brian Champon. 5. Now put 600,000 together. That is 3 million. So if we have these 3 million, we couldn't do anything with it. We couldn't support infrastructure projects here in Ghana. But you see, what I want Ghana, the MPPs, they know. I was talking to some of the delegates just last week, and the guy told me point blank that they know it is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that will be representing the MPP, but he's for
How do they know this? They haven't gone.
He's a delegate.
So they are also joining in that conversation that say that there are all the machinations being put together to propel Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the flag bearer.
That is what the delegates are saying. But from a prophetic point of view, I know it's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that will emerge as the flag bearer for MPP.
Well, time will determine if this prophecy comes to fruition.
It is settled. It is him.
It is finished.
It is finished. You've quoted a scripture.
Dr. George Hamilton.
They should do a free and fair elections, but in as much as they're going to do free and fair elections, I know the outcome will surely be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becoming the flag bearer of MPP, representing them in the 2028 general elections.
We'll certainly be here to sink our teeth into that topic, of course, when it rears its head. Doc, we're so grateful for your time once again on another vibrant Wednesday morning. We have a lot to talk about as the weeks unfold. We're hoping that the pockets get heftier, weightier. It's necessary.
Because, you see, you need to provide. At least you meet people on the streets, and they ask you, actually, Honorable, things are not good. Things are not good. Can you? And then you yourself, your pocket is empty. So how will you?
Allegedly.
Not allegedly. I'm saying, I was stating the fact.
Doc, we're grateful for your time, of course.
And it's affecting our churches too.
Oh, I see. The amount of money we collect on Sunday.
If you don't have money, how will you be able to give towards the kingdom?
That's why congregants are avoiding church and watching Shefu.
Exactly. You are corporate.
There's more to come right here on 3FM Sunrise. My colleague Joseph Armstrong, Go Dialogue Bear, will be joining us. We'll be talking about our wetlands. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Get ready.